Okay, let's just unpack this right out of the gate.
Let's do it.
We are sitting here, and we've got this massive digital map of North Texas pulled up on the screen.
Right.
And, it is late February 2026. Valentine's Day is in the rearview mirror. President's Day just passed. And if you walk outside right now...
You can feel it.
Yeah, exactly. The air is getting that crisp but slightly warmer feel.
Yeah.
The bluebonnets are, they're definitely thinking about waking up along the highways.
Spring is in the air.
Right. And in the real estate world, this is usually the exact moment everyone starts revving their engines.
The legendary spring market.
The spring market, you know the drill. It's totally ingrained in us. Flowers bloom, the for sale signs sprout up on every lawn like weeds, and buyers they come out of hibernation with their pre-approval letters ready to fight.
Ready for a bidding war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the traditional narrative. That is what, every home improvement channel tells us happens every single year.
It is the seasonal rhythm we've relied on for decades.
But, and this is a huge but, I am holding the actual hard data from January 2026 in my hands right now.
The fresh numbers.
Right. I've got the monthly indicators. I've got the MLS summary reports for the North Texas Real Estate Information Systems. And I have to say, looking at these numbers versus looking out the window, well, I can't use an ellipsis, so let me just say, the narrative isn't matching the reality.
Not even close.
It is just weird out there right now.
Weird is a very polite way to put it. I mean, I might actually use the word schizophrenic.
Schizophrenic,
Yeah.
really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, look, we are looking at a market that just doesn't seem to know what it wants to be.
Okay.
It is simultaneously freezing solid in some areas, like ice cold, absolute standstill, nobody moving, and then you literally drive 20 minutes down the highway and it is absolutely overheating.
Wow.
It's not a uniform wave anymore. It's a choppy, dangerous sea.
That is exactly what I'm seeing in this stack of paper. I'm looking at a sea of red ink across almost every major category for the region as a whole.
Red everywhere.
Everywhere. Listings are down, sales are down. But then we have these pockets, specifically Wise County, which I really want to obsess over with you today, that are just bucking the trend entirely.
Wise County is fascinating right now.
It's like Wise County didn't get the memo that the market is supposed to be taking a breather.
And that really is why we are doing this deep dive today.
Exactly.
If you just look at the headline number for North Texas on the evening news, you are going to completely miss the actual story.
The average is lying to you.
The average is absolutely lying to you. The story isn't about the average anymore. It's about the outliers.
Right.
It's about why one county is seeing prices drop while its neighbor, literally 15 minutes down the road, is seeing prices jump despite sales just plummeting.
And that is our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're going to decode this absolute mess. We've got the full stack of data.
The monthly indicators, the local market updates.
And the MLS summary reports, all of it. So for you listening, here is the roadmap. We're going to start with a broad slump across North Texas to set the baseline, the winter freeze, if you will.
Good term for it.
Thanks. Then we're doing a massive deep dive specifically into Wise County. Because, seriously, the numbers there are a paradox that I need you to explain to me so I can sleep at night.
I'll do my best.
After that, we'll hit the wild west of the rural counties. Places like Stevens and Montague, where the stats are just wild.
Small sample size theater.
Oh, I like that. We'll get into that. And finally, we'll wrap up with the alternatives, rentals, and land. Sound good?
Sounds like a solid roadmap. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the macro view, the big picture for January 2026. What is the overarching headline you're seeing?
The headline is definitely The Great Standoff.
The Great Standoff.
Yes.
I am looking at the monthly indicators for the entire North Texas region, and I totally see why you'd call it that. Let's hit some numbers.
New listings. Down 7.9%.
Significant drop. Yeah. We are talking just over 14,000 listings hitting the market in a region with millions of people. Pending sales, down 11%.
Ouch.
And closed sales, down 7.7%. Just 6,336 sales closed in January. That feels so low.
It is low, but let's pause on that new listings number for a second. That 7.9% drop.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that is actually the most critical statistic in the entire stack you're holding.
Wait, really? Why that one? Why not the huge drop in pending sales?
Because usually when we talk about a slowing market or a cooling market, the assumption is always that the buyers have disappeared.
Right, because things got too expensive.
Exactly. We assume when interest rates are up, affordability is down, so buyers are just sitting on their hands,
Oh
right?
yeah, that's the common wisdom.
And yes, buyers are pulling back. That is exactly what that 11% pending sales drop shows us. But the drop in listings, that tells us that the sellers are pulling back too.
Oh, I see. So it's a strike on both sides.
Effectively, yes. It's a double-sided strike. Think about the typical homeowner sitting in a nice house in Frisco or Plano right now.
Okay, I'm picturing them.
They probably bought that house or refinanced it in 2020 or 2021.
Ah,
They have a mortgage rate of 3%, maybe even 2.8% if they timed it perfectly.
right.
They look at the market today in early 2026 where rates are significantly higher, and they do the basic math. If they sell their house and move down the street into a similar house, their monthly payment literally doubles for the exact same amount of space.
The golden handcuffs.
Precisely. They are handcuffed to that low interest rate. So even though it is spring market time, they aren't putting the sign in the yard.
They're just staying put.
They're deciding to stay put. Maybe they renovate the kitchen instead of upgrading to a new build. They just aren't testing the waters.
So if buyers aren't buying because it's too expensive and sellers aren't selling because they don't want to lose their rate, we don't have a crash. We just have a freeze.
That is the crucial distinction you have to make. In a crash, like if you think back to 2008, you see inventory just flood the market.
Right. Foreclosures, panic selling.
Exactly. Everyone is trying to sell and nobody can buy. That is what drives prices into the ground. But here, inventory is actually shrinking.
Yeah, the report says inventory is down 2% to about 40,800 units.
Right. We are seeing a contraction of the marketplace itself. It's getting smaller.
It feels like a game of musical chairs where someone removed half the chairs, but they also sent half the players home before the music even started.
That is a brilliant analogy. Fewer chairs, fewer players, the game is just smaller.
And that absolute lack of activity is dragging prices down, but not by a huge margin.
No, it's a very slow leak.
Let me look at the exact number. The median sales price for the whole region is $350,000. That is down 2.8% from January 2025.
Okay.
So a house that was roughly $360,000 last year is $350,000 now.
Right. It is a discount, sure.
Right.
But is it a bargain?
That is the real question. If I am a buyer out there right now, $10,000 off a house doesn't exactly feel like a fire sale to me.
It's not. It's a slight correction. It's a softening. But here is the friction point that buyers and sellers are both feeling right now. Days on market.
Oh, man. Let me find that.
Look at the increase.
Here it is. Days on market increased 11.4%. The average home is now sitting for 78 days.
78 days.
That is almost 3 full months. I mean, I remember just a few years ago, if a house was on the market for 3 days, people were whispering about what was structurally wrong with it.
We all remember those days.
Yeah.
And 78 days feels like an absolute eternity for a seller who got used to that gone in a weekend pace.
For sure.
But think about the psychology of a home sitting for 78 days, especially given the timing.
Walk me through it.
Okay, say you list your house in early November.
Right.
You get through Thanksgiving, nothing. Couple of showings, no offers.
Yep.
Very. Then you get through Christmas. The market is dead. January rolls around. You are exhausted from keeping the house perfectly clean every single day for showings that just never happen. What do?
You drop the price.
You have to.
You drop the price. That is exactly where that 2.8% regional price drop comes from.
Ah.
It is not panic selling. It's fatigue selling. It's the result of agents convincing their clients to take a price cut after month 2 of total silence.
That makes perfect sense. But here is where it gets really confusing for me.
Okay.
We have all this gloom and doom in North Texas, the fatigue, the standoff, the frozen market.
Right.
But the report you gave me includes a little blurb from the National Association of Realtors.
Then NAR data, yes.
Yeah. It says that nationally, existing home sales climbed 5.1% month over month. In fact, the report says it's the strongest pace in nearly 3 years nationally.
I know. It's a stark contrast.
So the rest of the country is popping champagne, and North Texas is just sitting in the corner drinking warm tap water. Why are we lagging so far behind the national bounce? It is the million-dollar question for local economists right now. But you have to remember, real estate is hyper-local.
Sure.
You cannot just look at the national ticker on a financial channel and assume it applies to your street. The national narrative right now is that lower mortgage rates and slower price growth finally spurred activity in places like the Midwest and the Northeast.
Places that maybe didn't boom as hard as we did.
Exactly. Remember what happened here in North Texas from 2020 to 2024?
Explosive growth.
Yeah.
Literally everyone moved here.
We had a massive super cycle. We absorbed so much demand and our prices rose so fast that we might just be hitting an affordability saturation point that Ohio or Pennsylvania simply hasn't hit yet.
We hit the ceiling first.
We hit the ceiling first. We are normalizing faster because we overheated faster. And also, look at the inventory dynamics. Nationally, inventory is actually up 3.5% year over year.
And ours is down 2%.
Ours is down. We simply don't have the flow of new, affordable product hitting the market to stimulate those sales numbers right now. We are suffering from our own success, in a way.
That's rough.
The prices just got too high, too fast, and now we basically have to wait for local wages to catch up or for rates to drop significantly more before that volume returns.
So we are special, just not in the way we want to be right now. We are stubborn.
Stubborn is the absolute perfect word for the North Texas market in early 2026.
Speaking of stubborn, let's pivot to one more stat before you leave the broad regional view. Months supply of inventory.
Always a crucial metric.
It is down 2.3% to 4.2 months. Now, can you explain that to the listener who maybe isn't a seasoned realtor? What does 4.2 months actually mean in plain English?
Absolutely. The easiest way to think about it is to imagine the housing market is a grocery store and the houses are cartons of milk.
Okay, I like milk.
Months supply just asks one simple question. If no new milk trucks came to the store starting today, how long would it take for the customers to buy every single carton of milk currently sitting on the shelf?
Okay, so if nobody lists another house.
Right. Right now, it would take 4.2 months to clear the shelves completely.
Got it. And what's normal?
A balanced market, where buyers and sellers are basically on equal footing and nobody has undue leverage, is usually considered to be around 6 months of supply.
So we are at 4.2. That means the shelves are still a little bare.
Exactly. Even though sales are way down, we are still technically in a seller's market because the supply is just so incredibly low.
Wow.
We aren't drowning in unsold homes. If we were at 8 or 9 months of supply, you would see prices absolutely crashing. But at 4.2, they're just drifting sideways.
Okay, so that is the regional fog we are operating in. A drifting, frozen, stubborn market. Now, I want to get in the car.
Let's go for a drive.
I want to leave the sprawling concrete suburbs of Dallas and Fort Worth. I want to drive northwest on US 287. I want to talk about our main focus today.
Let's go to Wise County.
Yes, because if the region overall is down, Wise County is just defiant.
Defiant is a great word for Wise County's January data. Defiant or completely detached from reality.
Listen to this paradox, and for everyone listening, I want you to really picture this.
Give us the numbers.
I'm reading the local market update, specifically for Wise County. New listings, down 14.7%.
That is a massive drop in fresh inventory.
It is, from 224 listings last year to just 191 this year. Then, closed sales, down 20.2%.
Ouch.
I only sold 67 homes in the entire county in January.
Which is a tiny, tiny number for a county of that geographic size and population.
Right, it's totally frozen. But, and here's the twist that literally made me double-check the spreadsheet this morning before we started recording. The median sales price went UP 6.8%.
Up nearly 7% in a frozen market.
How, please explain the physics of this to me. How do you sell 20% fewer houses, have almost 15% fewer people even trying to sell their homes, but the prices go up almost 7%? That defies gravity.
I know it sounds crazy.
Usually when buyer demand drops 20%, prices are supposed to fall, right? That's economics 101.
It defies gravity only if you look at housing as a single block of identical widgets. But houses aren't identical widgets. It defies gravity, but it actually perfectly follows the laws of supply and demand, specifically what we call a supply shock.
A supply shock.
Yeah.
Break that down for us. What is actually happening on the ground in places like Decatur or Bridgeport?
Okay, let's walk through it. Listings dropped nearly 15%. That is severe. That means the store shelves we talked about in Wise County are getting really empty.
Right.
But you have to look at what is actually being sold, what type of milk is left on the shelf. With only 67 closings total, the sample size is small enough that the mix of homes matters immensely.
The mix. What do you mean by the mix?
Think about who typically buys a home in Wise County. Broadly speaking, you have two main groups right now.
Okay.
Group A is the local working class family. Maybe they are first-time buyers or they work locally in the county. They are looking for that $250,000 or $300,000 starter home.
The bread and butter of a normal market.
Exactly. Then you have Group B. Group B is the equity-rich relocation buyer.
The transplants.
Right. The person moving from California, or maybe the person cashing out $1 million home in Southlake or Westlake who wants 5 acres, a custom home, and no neighbors.
The luxury country buyer.
Yes. Now, in a high interest rate environment like we have right now in 2026, Group A gets totally knocked out of the game.
Because the payment on a $300,000 home is too high now.
Exactly. They simply cannot qualify for the mortgage anymore. Or, looking at the inventory side, the people who currently own those $250,000 homes aren't selling them because they have nowhere affordable to go.
So the bottom of the market just vanishes.
The cheap stuff completely disappears. It completely stops transacting.
Okay, so the starter home sales just don't happen at all.
Exactly. But Group B, the Southlake movers, the out-of-state cash buyers,
They still want their 5 acres.
and they have cash. They have massive equity from their previous sale. An interest rate of 7% doesn't scare them because they're putting $500,000 down. So they are still out there buying the $500,000, $600,000, and $700,000 custom homes.
Oh, I see it now. So if you take away all the cheap sales from the math and you only keep the expensive sales, the median line automatically moves up artificially.
It drags the median price way up. It creates the total illusion of massive appreciation in a down market.
That is wild.
So if you own a normal older home in Wise County, your house might not have actually gained 7% in true value in January. It's just that the only houses that managed to sell that month were the really nice ones.
That makes so much sense statistically. But isn't there a real scarcity element to this too? Like people just fighting over scraps?
Oh, absolutely. But the psychological element is huge here. If you want to live in Wise County right now, and a lot of people do, it's a beautiful area. It's got that gorgeous rolling hill terrain. It's not just flat and treeless like some other directions out of Dallas.
Right. It's very scenic.
Exactly. But you have very few options. When there are only 191 new listings in a whole month for an entire county, buyers who absolutely have to buy are forced to compete for whatever good stuff is actually there.
So even though there are technically fewer buyers overall, the ones who are left are all fighting over the exact same 3 nice houses in Decatur.
Precisely. Scarcity keeps the price floor incredibly high. It's a phenomenon we call sticky pricing.
Sticky pricing.
Sellers look around, they see no competition on their street, and they say to their agent, well, I'm the only game in town. Why on earth should I lower my price?
Sticky prices. I like that visual. It's like the prices are literally glued to the ceiling, even though the floor is completely falling out of the sales volume.
That's a great way to visualize it. And looking at the Trends 4 report you brought, it gives us even more clues about the specific character of Wise County right now.
Yeah, let's look at that.
It's a very specific type of market. We tend to think of Wise as just the country, right? So you naturally expect a lot of farms.
Yeah, if I close my eyes and think of Wise County, I visualize cattle, barbed wire fences, maybe a few tractors.
Look at the stats for the category Resi Sale Dash Farm in Wise County for January 2026.
Let me scroll down.
Okay.
Okay, here it is. 0.
0.
A big fat goose egg. No farms sold.
Which is really fascinating. Now, does that mean literally no raw land sold? No, but it means the operational farm, the classic lifestyle farm category, did not move at all.
And what about condos? Surely there's some density building up.
Almost completely non-existent. There was exactly 1 condo sale in the entire county in January 2026, and that was flat from the year before.
So this is absolutely not a market for vertical living, and apparently nobody is buying the massive working farm this month either.
No.
It is strictly a single-family detached house on a lot market. It's land and a house. That is the commodity.
And that specific commodity is rapidly becoming a luxury item. That is the incredible irony of this whole flight to the country movement we've seen since 2020.
Also,
Everyone wants to get away from the city density. They look at Wise County as the ultimate escape valve. They want to drive up to 87, get some space, let the dog run, breathe some fresh air.
the dream.
But when everyone tries to escape through the exact same valve at the exact same time, and the existing residents refuse to sell because of their low mortgage rates, the price of the escape pod goes up astronomically.
Even while the city centers themselves are cooling down, it is just fascinating to watch it play out in the numbers.
It creates a total bifurcation of the region. The urban core softens because there is naturally more turnover in density. The desirable rural periphery hardens because of pure scarcity.
Yeah.
People move to Wise County to find affordable freedom, and they are quickly finding out that freedom isn't on sale this month.
Okay, speaking of the periphery, let's look at the neighbors. Because if Wise County is this stubborn island of high prices and low volume, I really want to know if the whole northern rim of the Metroplex is acting this way.
Let's do it. Let's hop back in the car.
We are driving east. We are crossing the county line into Cook County, so Gainesville area, right up there against the Red River and the Oklahoma border.
Cook is a very interesting foil to Wise County. It feels a little different economically. You have the I-35 corridor running right through the heart of it, pushing a ton of commerce straight north to Oklahoma.
Right. And looking at these numbers, Cook seems to be operating in a completely different reality than Wise. Closed sales in Cook County went UP 23.3%.
That is a massive jump in volume, especially compared to Wise County's 20% drop.
Right. But, and here's the catch, the median price in Cook was completely flat, down 0.4%, so basically zero change in value.
So let's compare those two side by side. Wise County, sales down, price up. Cook County, sales up, price flat.
What is the main difference there? They are right next to each other on the map. Why is Cook booming in sheer volume while Wise is frozen?
Cook County likely has a much more available inventory of attainable housing right now.
Attainable meaning cheaper.
Yes. If sales are up 23%, that means deals are actually getting done. Buyers and sellers are successfully meeting in the middle of the negotiation table.
Okay.
In Wise County, they aren't meeting at all. They're just staring at each other angrily from across the street. But in Cook, they are shaking hands and signing contracts.
So Cook County is moving volume, while Wise County is desperately holding on to value.
That is exactly the distinction. It suggests that sellers in Cook might be a little more realistic about the current rate environment, or perhaps the physical inventory mix there is naturally just more affordable to begin with, allowing more real people to actually close the deal.
Okay, well, hold on to your hat, because we need to talk about Stevens County.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I was flipping through the local market updates this morning while I was having my coffee, and I literally almost spit it out on my keyboard.
I think I know exactly which stat you found.
Stevens County. So this is quite a bit further west, Breckenridge area, much more rural than Wise or Cook. Here is their January 2026 data.
Let's hear it.
New listings, up 125%. Closed sales, up 75%.
Wow.
Right? If I just look at the green arrows on the page, I'm sitting here thinking Stevens County is the next Austin, Texas.
On paper, it looks like an absolute gold rush.
But then I looked at the price column. Median sales price. Down 69.7%.
And there it is.
How does a housing market lose 70% of its value in a single month? Did a giant sinkhole open up and swallow the courthouse? Did they discover the groundwater was radioactive?
No sinkholes. And this right here is exactly why we have to be so incredibly careful with data in these smaller rural counties.
Please explain this to me.
This is a perfect teachable moment for everyone listening. This is a classic example of what I like to call small sample size theater.
Small sample size theater. I love that.
Whenever you look at rural real estate data, you have to put down the percentage calculator immediately and look at the raw counts. Do you have the raw numbers for Stevens County right there?
Yeah, let me look at the other column. Okay. Closed sales. Last year, 4. This year, 7.
Okay. 7 sales in the entire county for the entire month.
That's it. 7.
That is it. So think about the math here. If last year, the 4 sales that happened to close were, say, really nice 4-bedroom brick ranch houses sitting on 10 acres each, and they were worth $300,000 each.
Okay, so the median price is $300,000.
Exactly. I follow you so far. Now, this year we have 7 sales, an increase. But let's say those 7 sales were totally different types of properties. Let's say a couple of them were basic hunting cabins or distressed foreclosures, or maybe a couple of older mobile homes on tiny lots that sold for $80,000 or $90,000.
Oh, I see.
If you compare a pristine $300,000 ranch house from last year to an $80,000 hunting cabin this year, the median price crashes by 70% on the spreadsheet.
That is completely misleading.
Right. It absolutely does not mean that your nice brick house in Stevens County just lost 70% of its value overnight.
Thank goodness.
It just means that in the specific month of January 2026, nobody happened to buy any nice houses. They only bought the really cheap stuff.
So it's a huge warning label for our listeners. Do not just blindly read the headlines. If you see an article that says home prices crashed 70% in a certain county, You have to check if they sold 7 houses or 700 houses.
Exactly. Fluctuations that massive in rural markets are almost always compositional changes, meaning the type of property changed, not valuation changes. It is comparing apples to oranges because the sample size is just too small to have a consistent fruit basket every month.
That is a huge relief for anyone listening who owns land out in Stevens County. Now let's look at Montague County. This is the Nocona-Bowie area.
Right.
This one seems a bit more substantial than just 7 sales. Closed sales in Montague are down 15%, but the median price is down 47%. It went from around $240,000 last year to roughly the $127,000 range this year.
Now, Montague had 11 sales. Still very small, but slightly more robust than Stevens. But a 47% drop in median price is still a massive shift. This actually suggests a complete halt in the upper or mid-tier market out there.
So it's similar to the Stevens County illusion, but maybe a bit more pronounced.
Yes, exactly. In Montague, it looks like the luxury ranch market or the recreational land market, the people from Dallas buying weekend getaways, they just didn't show up at all in January.
She stayed home.
They stayed home. And when you take that top layer off the cake, those $500,000 ranches, the average height of the whole cake drops significantly.
It is the exact opposite of Wise County.
Perfectly noticed, yes.
Yeah.
In Wise, the cheap stuff stopped selling, so the median price artificially went up. In Montague, the expensive stuff stopped selling, so the median price artificially went down.
And then just to throw a massive wrench into everything we've talked about so far, we have the Abilene MSA. I know it's quite a bit further west, but it is included in our Trends 4 report, and I think it's highly relevant because it really shows where the actual human activity is going.
It does.
Because while North Texas is in this deep winter freeze, Abilene is apparently having a massive party.
Abilene is absolutely on fire right now.
Single-family sales, UP, 38%. Total dollar volume, UP, 44%.
Yeah.
I mean, what is happening in Abilene? That is not a small sample size anomaly. That is real, actual volume.
Abilene is operating on a totally different economic cycle right now compared to the DFW area. You really have to think about the affordability migration.
The drive until you qualify method.
Exactly. The median price in the core of DFW is $350,000, right? In Wise County, it's climbing even higher. If you are a young family or an aggressive investor or someone working 100% remotely and you get totally priced out of the Metroplex,
Yeah.
where do you go?
You go west.
You go west. You go until the numbers on the mortgage calculator finally make sense.
And Abilene makes sense.
It is the ultimate value play right now. If you literally cannot afford a $450,000 basic starter home in Frisco or a $350,000 home in Wise County, you start looking at Abilene where you can get a heck of a lot more house for your money.
Wow.
It strongly suggests that the flight to affordability is actually skipping the exurbs right now. It's jumping right over the donut hole of places like Wise and Parker and going straight out to the secondary independent metros.
That is a huge cultural and economic shift. It used to always be, just drive to the next town over. Now it's drive 2 full hours away to a totally different city.
Capital flows to where it is treated best. And right now, in early 2026, capital is being treated very, very well in Abilene.
Okay, so we've looked extensively at houses, the physical structures, but a lot of our listeners are deeply interested in dirt, raw land. The old saying, buy land, they aren't making any more of it.
Especially in Texas. It is the ultimate dream.
Usually, from what I understand, land is the very first thing to freeze up when money gets tight, right?
Yeah.
Loans are way harder to get. The down payments required are much higher. You can't just go get a 3% down FHA loan for a patch of raw dirt.
Typically, yes. That's exactly right. Land is considered a speculative asset for many, or an absolute luxury purchase. It is much harder to finance than a standing home with a roof.
So when consumer confidence drops, land sales usually drop first.
Almost always.
So looking at the data, it is a mixed bag yet again. In Wise County, the raw land sales aren't explicitly broken out in the summary we have, but look closely at Parker County.
Okay.
Parker County is usually the heavyweight champion of land sales in this region.
Parker is the ultimate bellwether. Weatherford, Aledo. That is historically where the modern land barons want to live.
Well, land sales in Parker County dropped 50% in January.
Yeah.
Literally cut in half.
Ouch. That is a steep drop.
But look at the price. The median price for land in Parker County rose 120%.
That is staggering. Truly staggering.
Sales down 50%, price up 120%. That has to be the ultimate scarcity metric we've seen today. How is that even mathematically possible?
You have to think about Parker County's life cycle. It is effectively fully developed at this point. It's basically Fort Worth West now.
The secret is totally out.
Long gone. The available, desirable parcels of land, the nice 5-acre lots with some trees, the 10-acre horse properties, they are just rapidly disappearing. They are mostly built out.
So the physical supply is literally running out.
Exactly. So the few that are actually left on the market, they are absolute gold. And the sellers know it. They are not discounting a single penny.
Wow.
They are literally doubling the asking price because they know with 100% certainty that someone from Dallas desperately wants that exact 5-acre lot to build their dream barn-dominium, and there are simply no other 5-acre lots left to choose from.
Now, compare that exact scenario to Navarro County.
Okay, let's look south.
Navarro South, down I-45, heading towards Corsicana. Land sales there were UP 46% with prices up 18%.
See the massive difference.
Yeah, Navarro is what we call a developing market. There is still actual inventory down there. There is still large acreage, raw land waiting to be carved up into subdivisions or ranchettes. It hasn't been completely picked over by developers yet.
Okay.
So you see the transaction volume rapidly increasing because it is still physically accessible and financially attainable for the average buyer.
So Parker County is developed scarcity, and Navarro County is developing opportunity.
That is a fantastic way to frame it. If you want to sell land right now, Parker is absolutely the place to be if you can actually find a buyer who can afford your insane asking price. But if you want to buy land, Navarro is where the actual action is happening.
Well, let's talk about the people who are looking at all this data we just went through. They see Wise County prices climbing, they see Parker land up 120%, and they are just saying, you know what, I'm out.
Throwing their hands up.
Exactly. They're saying, I am not buying anything in this crazy market. I am just going to rent.
The sit-it-out strategy.
Right.
Very common right now. Exactly. So what is the rental market telling us? Is it providing any actual relief for these people?
Actually, surprisingly, yes. The rental market is the one place in this entire report where we are seeing some real sanity return to the numbers.
I noticed that in the MLS summary report. Let's look at the Sherman-Denison MSA up north. This is a huge, huge growth area, right? The massive chip plants going in, tech expansions, new highway infrastructure.
Massive historic growth.
Leasing is very active there. January 2026 saw 96 residential leases signed, which is up from 67 the prior January.
Right.
So a lot more people are choosing to rent. But look at the price. The average lease price dropped from $1,889 last year to $1,657 this year.
That is more than a $200 a month drop.
That is huge for a renter. That's almost $2,400 a year put right back in a tenant's pocket.
Yeah.
Why is rent dropping so fast in a literal boom town?
It comes down to pure supply. Think about all the eager real estate investors who bought up properties in Sherman 2 or 3 years ago thinking, I'm going to rent these out to all the new tech workers for top dollar.
Oh, right. Everyone had the same idea.
Everyone bought the exact same time. Now, those units are all coming online simultaneously. They are all desperately competing for the exact same pool of tenants. Supply finally caught up with demand, and landlords are having to swallow their pride and cut deals to keep the units from sitting empty.
Now, contrast that situation with Waco.
Waco is going the complete opposite direction.
Leases in Waco are up 50% in sheer volume, but prices are also up. The median lease there is $1,638, up 6%.
So Waco clearly has more demand than supply right now. Rents are naturally rising. The market is much tighter there than in Sherman.
And then there is Weatherford.
Right back to Parker County.
Right next door to where the land is impossible to buy. Lease volume in Weatherford is up 16 leases versus 12 last year. But the price is down in. The average rent fell from roughly $2,367 down to $2,140.
That is the Parker County dynamic rearing its head again. The sales market there is insanely expensive and tight. I mean, price is up 120% on dirt. So naturally, people are turning to rentals.
Right.
But perhaps we are finally seeing a hard ceiling on what normal people can actually pay. Even in a wealthy, desirable county, $2,400 a month just for rent is a really steep ask. Landlords are being forced to soften their pricing just to get leases signed.
It's so interesting that in both Sherman and Weatherford, two very hot, very different growth areas, rents are actively softening while the purchase prices remain totally sticky.
It creates a really fascinating arbitrage opportunity for the listener who is paying attention.
Explain that arbitrage.
Well, the rent versus buy math is shifting incredibly heavily in favor of renting in these specific pockets right now. Yes. Think about it. If you can rent a really nice house in Weatherford for $2,100 a month, but buying that exact same house would cost you $3,500 a month with current interest rates, property taxes, and inflated prices,
Yeah.
why on earth would you buy it right now?
Right. You rent it, you religiously save that $1,400 difference every single month, and you just wait for the sales market to make sense again.
Exactly. It's not giving up. It's strategic patience.
Yeah.
You aren't throwing money away on rent. You're literally buying time at a significant monthly discount.
That is a very healthy, very smart way to look at it. Okay, let's do a quick, detailed breakdown of two specific metro areas before we start to wrap this whole thing up. We touched on them briefly, but I want to go deeper into the Trends 4 data for Waco and Taylor County.
Sure, let's dig in.
Let's look closer at Waco. We just saw the rental stats were tight, but looking at the sales side, sales declined 13%, 154 sales total. But inventory is actively growing. Active listings are up 15% to 1,230 units.
This paints a picture of a very healthy cooling.
Healthy, not frozen.
Healthy. Unlike Wise County, where the inventory just vanished completely, Waco is actually building inventory. The shelves are getting restocked, listings are up, sales are down. That is the normal, traditional mechanic that leads to long-term price stability.
So it's functioning exactly like a normal real estate market should. Supply goes up, demand pressure comes down.
Exactly. And true to form, the median price in Waco reflects that. It's up about 6%. It's totally stable. It's not crashing by 70%. It's not skyrocketing. It's just taking a much-needed breath. If you are an investor looking for pure predictability, Waco looks a lot more rational right now than the wild swings we just analyzed in Stevens or Montague.
And then there is Taylor County, the Abilene area. Again, we're looking at the Trends 4 map for them. Single-family residence sales, UP 33%. Median price, UP 13%.
Taylor County is the absolute Goldilocks of this entire January data set.
How so? The porridge is just right.
Yes. Usually you only get one or the other. Volume going up often means prices soften as supply floods in, or prices going up means volume crashes because of a lack of affordability like we saw in Wise County.
Right.
But Taylor County is getting both. People are buying significantly more houses, and they are somehow willing to pay significantly more money for them.
That is the holy grail for a seller.
It is arguably the strongest performing submarket in the entire data set for January 2026. If you happen to own property in Taylor County right now, you are winning.
Big time.
You have liquidity, meaning you can easily sell it, and you have rapid appreciation, meaning you can sell it for more than you bought it for. It's a rare combo right now.
Okay, we have covered an absolute ton of ground today. We've gone from the frozen tundra of the general North Texas macro market to the bizarre scarcity island of Wise County, to the wild statistical roller coaster of the rural West, and finally, down to the booming plains of Abilene.
It's a lot to process.
It is. So what does this all mean for the person listening in their car right now? Let's summarize this tale of two markets.
The main headline to walk away with is bifurcation.
Well, bifurcation.
Yes. The broad North Texas region is seeing a deep winter freeze. Buyers and sellers are locked in a tense standoff. Inventory is tight, overall sales are down, and prices are dipping just slightly to try and grease the gears. That is story number one.
And story number two is our focus today, Wise County.
Wise County is the ultimate story of scarcity. It is stubbornly, defiantly expensive. Despite a massive 20% drop in buyer activity, prices rose because the inventory simply evaporated.
The bottom fell out.
Exactly. The month supply is the vital number to watch there. As long as new listings remain down nearly 15%, prices in Wise County are simply not coming down.
So let's bring this all the way home for the listener. I want to give some highly actionable advice based on these profiles we've built.
Let's do it.
If you are listening to this right now and you are a buyer specifically looking in Wise County, what is your move? You're probably incredibly frustrated. There are basically no houses.
You need to be totally prepared for a severe lack of options. The deal you are looking for isn't going to be a massive price drop.
No.
No, the deal is simply finding a house at all. If you see something you actually like, you cannot wait 3 weeks to see if they lower the price. They won't. There are too few homes on the market. You have to be incredibly decisive, even in what everyone else says is a down market.
And don't lowball them.
Do not lowball. The sellers out there know they have the only glass of water in the entire desert. They won't entertain it.
Okay. What if you are on the other side? You are a seller in Wise County right now.
You definitely have immense leverage on price, clearly. The stats show you can still get that 7% bump.
Nice.
But And this is a very big, but do not expect the insane bidding wars of 2022. You don't have 20 buyers lined up around the block anymore. You might only have 2 buyers.
But they want it.
But those 2 buyers are desperate for your house. So price it ambitiously, but be extremely patient. The transaction volume is very low. It might take longer to find that one specific buyer, but when you do find them, they will pay your price.
And finally, the investor. The person sitting on some cash. Where do they put their money based on this data?
I would look very, very closely at the rental softening we saw in places like Weatherford and Sherman.
Be careful there.
Yes. If you are underwriting a new deal today based on 2024 or 2025 rental projections, you might be drastically overestimating your actual income. The yields might be rapidly compressing as those rents drop, so be very cautious there.
What about the flip side?
Conversely, look hard at Abilene and Taylor County. The growth out there is incredibly real. That might be the exact place to deploy your capital right now if you want both appreciation and actual transaction volume.
It's unsexy.
It might be unsexy to invest in Abilene compared to Dallas, but the numbers absolutely work.
It really challenges the whole idea of the real estate market, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we just saw Stevens County drop 70% in median price and Abilene jump 38% in volume in the exact same month in the exact same state.
It totally shatters the illusion. It proves that there is really no such thing as a national market or even a state market.
I mean, is the era of the uniform housing market just totally over? Are we looking at a future where your specific zip code matters infinitely more than whatever the national interest rate is doing?
I strongly believe we are already there. The national interest rate basically just sets the mood music. It tells us broadly if it's a slow song or a fast song, but the local supply constraints, the local zoning laws, the geography, the water rights, the specific neighborhood inventory.
That dictates the actual dance.
It dictates the dance completely. You cannot trade North Texas anymore. You literally have to trade the specific neighborhood.
That is a wildly powerful thought to end on.
Yeah.
Stop constantly looking at the national news networks and start aggressively looking at your local neighborhood map.
Yes. Ignore the noise.
Before you sign that contract or list that house, pull up the maps. Look for those purple zones of high activity we talked about. Check if you are standing in a Wise County scarcity zone or if you're stuck in a Montague-free zone. It literally makes all the difference in the world right now.
It's truly the only way to make a smart financial decision in 2026.
Well, thank you so much for diving in with me today. For everyone listening, we'll be right back here next month to see if the spring market actually thaws this ice, or if we are in for a very long, very weird year. Until then, keep watching the data.
Stay curious out there.
See you next time.